to a sound clip from our Bible study discussion every Tuesday night from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in Pakalani. Please enjoy.
So today's topic is a vessel for such a time as this. Have you ever wondered why you have gifts or why you had a certain experience, an opportunity, certain family or influence? I think we all ask God about our purpose quite a bit. And today I want to speak about being a vessel and using the story of Esther. The story of Esther teaches us that God is intentional. He prepares us specifically for the assignments he has planned. We're going to focus on Esther 4, verse 14, which says, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows? But that time you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." So before we go into it, I want to give a backstory on Esther. Esther is an orphan, a young Jewish orphan, who became the queen in a Persian empire. She was raised by her cousin, Mordecai, and the king of the Persian empire was betrayed by his queen, and he was now looking for a new queen. So he was betrayed by Queen Vashti. And the king sent out a message to look for a new queen, and they were training women, giving them food, making them healthy, for them to be presented to the king. Esther was one of the people who was presented to the king, and she won favor. In Esther 2, verse 17, it says, "Now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti." So, if you look at it, an orphan became a queen. But that's not really the big deal. I'd say the big deal is that the king didn't know that she was Jewish. In Esther 2, verse 10, it says, "Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. So no one knew she was Jewish. She lived comfortably. She was okay. She was eating every day, being taken care of, had servants. Then one day, a powerful man named Haman became really angry with Mordecai and the Jewish people and devised a plan that all Jewish people should be killed. A decree was issued. An entire nation faced destruction. Suddenly, Esther's hidden identity became central to God's plan. She had a choice: to remain silent and keep a comfortable life, or risk everything and save her people. Mordecai sends her a message that echoes through history. "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." So I don't pose this question just to Esther. It's to you too. Has God placed you for such a time as this? So I have 4 points. We'll go through the first one. God prepares his vessels specifically. Back in Esther 2, verse 17, we read that the king was attracted to Esther. Nothing else about Esther was chosen, but the fact that the king was attracted to her features. God created her that way. He knew that one day the king will be attracted to her beauty. God didn't use a prophet or another military leader or the king himself for this mission. He used Esther. He chose a young orphan woman, gave her beauty, favor, wisdom, and access to the king. And this teaches us that God is very intentional about the vessel he uses. Like if we look back at the Bible, Noah was a builder before there was a flood. David learned to fight lions and bears before facing Goliath. Joseph learned administration before leading Egypt. So Esther received favor before saving her people. So sometimes we ask ourselves, why am I like this? Why am I so sensitive? Why do I go through this experience? Why am I going through this store? But God wastes nothing. In Ephesians 2, verse 10, it says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Jesus Christ to do good works, which God has prepared for us in advance." So the education you have, the gifts, the opportunities, the failures, the influence, nothing is a mistake. Everything is intentional. Just like God, just like Esther, God prepared her beauty, her favor, her position, and now He's preparing us. My second point, being a vessel requires courage. So if you go down in Esther 4, you go to verse 16, it says, "Go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa. Fast for me. Do not eat or drink for these 3 days or night. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." Before she said this is when Mordecai came to her and told her about the decree that was sent to kill all Jewish people. And Mordecai came to beg Esther for her help, saying, "You were prepared for such a time as this." So she recognized the danger, but not the danger of her people perishing, but the danger of her own life to go to the king. She said, "If I perish, I perish." So it wasn't just uncomfortable for her to go to the king. It was dangerous. She could lose everything, her own life, but she was willing to do it. She said, "I'll go to the king, even though it's against the law. And if I perish, I perish." That's when she became queen. She became a vessel. She could have stayed silent. She could have been comfortable. But she knew her people needed her. They needed her protection, and they needed her courage. And one of the greatest enemies of purpose is comfort. When we're put in a situation where we have to be courageous, fear says, "Stay where you are," and purpose says, "Take a leap of faith. If you perish, you perish." There's another layer to Esther's courage. She didn't only have to go to the king, but she had to reveal who she truly was. She had been concealing her identity for years, living comfortably. But now she had to speak and say, "I am one of the people marked for destruction." In Esther 7, verse 3-4, she says to the king, "If I found favor with you, your majesty, and if it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition. And spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we had merely been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept quiet, because no such distress would justify disturbing the king." The very thing that she was hiding was the very thing that God was using. The very thing that was her concealing identity, protecting her, was the one thing that God wanted her to use. So sometimes God uses our fears, our insecurities, our mistakes, our backgrounds, our struggles as the assignment. In 2 Timothy 1, verse 7, it says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and sound mind." So courage is not the absence of fear. It's the obedience when fear is present. Thirdly, vessels need community. Before Esther went to the king, she said something very powerful. "Go gather the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me day and night." So before this public victory, there was private dependence on God. Before the courage, there was prayer. Before the breakthrough came community. Esther understood she couldn't carry this all by herself. Moses had Aaron, David had Jonathan, Paul had Timothy, and Esther had her people. Many of us want God's calling without God's community. But God often strengthens his vessels through other people. In Ecclesiastes 4, verse 9 to 10, it says, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other. But pity anyone who falls and no one who can help them up. So who's praying for you? Who are you running to and asking to fast with you? Who is encouraging your faith? Who helps you stand when life is difficult? Even vessels need community. My last point. The impact of a vessel is greater than they can see. One of the most powerful truths in Esther's story is she never understood the impact of her obedience. When Esther approached the king, she thought she was just saving her people, but she was saving God's promise. She preserved the Jews, and later on, Jesus Christ was born from a Jew. So the destruction of the Jews would have been a destruction of God's promise. Esther didn't know this. She never saw it. She just knew she had to save her people and obey. She just had to say yes. And that's how God works. We want to see the whole plan and understand the impact we're going to make. But sometimes he's only going to show you the next step. The impact of your obedience may reach places you will never see. Your faithfulness may affect your family, children, church, future generations. And you will never know, but God does. So imagine being Esther, a little girl, orphan, hidden identity. Then you get this beautiful, comfortable life. Then you're presented with a choice. Leave this comfortable life and save people. That's a difficult choice. But God placed her there. Preparation was made. She won favor, position. She had people fasting with her. And the king agreed. They saved the people. And Jesus Christ was born. One vessel answering God's call impacts generations. Esther never knew the impact of her obedience. She never knew that thousands of years later we would be speaking about her being queen today. All she knew was that she just had to be faithful and courageous. So today I leave you with the same question Mordecai asked you. And who knows? But have you come to a royal position for such a time as this? Why has God placed you where you are? Why has he given you the gifts that you have? Why has he opened the doors that you went through? And why has he allowed you to go through these experiences? Could it be that he's preparing you for something? So my prayer today is that I leave you with one thing. That you're willing to be a vessel and to be prepared to be one.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to the sound clip. Feel free to comment in the comment section and meet us in person if and when you can. May God bless you.